I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, okay?
Hey, you. Welcome back to I'm Sorry, Okay? A podcast where we are watching so much Degrassi. I'm Mary here with Paul and LD. This week we watched Season 3, Episode 14 of Degrassi Junior High, Black and White. This episode was written by Jan Moore, directed by John Bertram, and originally aired on February 20th, 1989. In this episode, Michelle and BLT learn about prejudice after deciding to attend a graduation dance together.
Sounds like BLT already knew about it.
Well, first, content warning for this episode, we will be discussing racism and black trauma. I found an interview with Dio Ade, who plays BLT, and I thought it might be good to include some of his words in this episode. So this is from an article called Dio Ade, Defying Stereotypes While Preparing the Next Generation of Black Actors, and it's from the website byblacks.com, BYBLACKS. He says, "Color wasn't as important to me as it was to my parents' generation and the generations before them, although we still struggled against racism, because that's how North American society is built. There's no escaping it, and although a lot of people give America a bad rep for its racial problems, Canada isn't too far off either. The experience we go through makes us stronger and prepares us for greater things to come," he says. And then he also kind of talks about Degrassi. He describes it as a coming-of-age story about a bunch of junior high school kids going through things and then graduating into high school. When Degrassi came to an end, most of us on the show didn't know what we were going to do next, and I remember taking on guest roles during a 3 to 4 year period. During this time, he was often asked to play the bad guy, along the lines of a gangster or killer. This is how they often portray young black people, but I knew I had so much more to offer.
He was on an episode of Bones working for the NSA.
He was in a ton of stuff.
He's
was
been so
also
much
on
stuff.
Lost. From everyone on Degrassi, it seems like he's kind of popped up more so than other people we've seen.
He's been on so many TV shows.
In this interview, it sort of mirrors this experience that BLT is having where he's this fully realized person, but other people are only seeing him based on his race and stereotypes about his race.
Yep.
Yeah.
Should we get into it?
Yeah. Let's do
Okay.
it.
All right. BLT and Michelle are talking after class, and BLT is about to ask her to the graduation dance when some racist kid bumps into him, tells him to watch where he's going, and then calls him the N-word. They get into a fight before an adult breaks it up and sends everyone to the principal's office. Michelle picks up his books after they leave.
Oh, man.
They just throw it all just right at us right away.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying to get our attention, but I have a lot more to say, but that'll come later.
Yeah, I felt like they came out swinging, but for an episode that was really about racism, they didn't really focus on BLT's experience, his feelings. It was mostly about still through this white woman's lens, and
Yes.
I found that to be really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writer and director, I think, are both white men.
Yes.
It's kind of hard with stuff like that where it's just okay, so you chose to use this word, but who are you? Basic, it's just sort
right,
of
they wrote the script.
right. So that was a deliberate choice, and it's just I don't know. It's kind of hard to really square that, and some might say that's today's standards, but what? This is 1990, 89, and it's just everybody knew at that point. It's not 1960 or 70 or whatever. So yeah, it really took me out, and it definitely took a second rewatch to really be able to focus on what the actual attempt at a message was in this episode for me.
I felt like I had a difficult time finding it, really. And I also felt like, and I don't know if you guys felt like this, but it felt like they were trivializing it a little bit by putting Spike being discriminated against for her haircut like on par with this, like, you know, look how many different ways there are to be discriminated against. Like, it would have been, I felt, a much more rich plot if Spike had maybe been discriminated against for being a teen mom.
It felt like a stretch, right? Like it
Yeah,
felt
it
like
did.
it's like too. I felt like they were trying to like kind of establish the differences between racism, prejudice, and like these ways that someone can take a perception of a person and decide they don't like them because of that. So like I kind of got it, but yeah, like you can't just like throw out a bomb like that right away and then expect to be like, I don't know, like taken seriously as an episode. Like
It didn't feel like a responsible handling, because we also didn't see the person who made the racist comment receive any kind of, we don't know if that guy got a warning, if he got suspended. We don't know how he was treated. We don't know what kind of lecture he may or more likely may
probably
not
did not.
have gotten.
Right.
You know, it would have been nice to see that there were consequences for those actions.
That part felt a little real to me though, like where it's just like pff, they don't care.
Yeah.
Even his like friends, they all ask him what happened to him, but no one even asks about like what happened to this other kid. Like it's not even a factor in this situation, even though it's the core of the whole interaction. Like these two are literally just having a conversation and this like dude comes out of nowhere. So whatever BLT does in response to that, he didn't start this. But
No.
everyone's sort of like, oh, what happened to you because like you got into this fight, and no one like is focusing on like the actual cause of the fight, which he had every right to defend himself however he felt he needed to defend himself like in that moment.
Absolutely.
That part still feels real to me. Like faculty doesn't care, administrations don't care, police don't care. That feels real today, that like someone can just get away with saying something like that to somebody. And it's like,
Right.
and especially if you're like a non-white person amongst a lot of other white people and they're not, you know, they're not gonna totally get it. If they had just made a different word choice and just, it could have been the same idea and the same like meaning and intent, I think it would have opened up a lot more conversation for like these things that we're talking about now. But yeah, it's just sort of like, I mean, people say that shit and what? No one cares, basically. Like,
I think like the intention was like to show the full spectrum of racism. So in
Yep.
this instance, we have like overt, like obviously this is racist, and then we have like Michelle's parents later on, which is sort of this like, I don't see colorblind like bullshit to hide like true feelings. And then we also see like Alexa. with like quote unquote positive stereotypes, but that are also like based in like racism. So I think like it's why they chose this word, but I totally agree with you that like it's irresponsible. This is the first and only episode to like use this word. We hear it multiple times from like multiple like characters
in this scene. Yeah.
and it's really not the focus of the episode. Whereas I think if this episode were written today, the focus would be this word and like the harmful impact of this word on everyone who like kind of experienced like this moment in the hallway. It was like a public moment. But yeah, it really just does not. It's like they use it just to like show something, but it's like totally irresponsible. Like you're saying, they don't address it in the way that they would need to justify its use.
Yeah.
They're using racial abuse against BLT, who's a character we haven't really gotten to know very well, as a teachable moment for white people. And I think if this if this episode were airing now, I think we would have stuck with BLT through the episode. It would have been about how he felt. It would have been maybe about the fallout from this guy. You know, because Degrassi does tackle race in a lot of different ways much later on. They take a few stabs at it later on. But
there's so much to say. I feel like it could be like a whole podcast just on this opening scene and like how messed up and like just wrong they were to do this. So
trying to tackle the experience that many people have had is like understandable, but yeah, we're like in agreement that this was like probably not the way to do that. So Alexa runs over to Michelle before school the next day to check to see if BLT has asked her to the dance yet, and then they talk about the fight.
Michelle, she's just like still on the we're just friends like train here. Like, bro,
not buying it, babe. No.
And she's like,
I mean, he's popular, cute, athletic. Why me?
Alexa's just like, because he likes you, dude. Like, obviously. Come on.
I do like that part, though. That part is real as hell.
It's cute.
I love Alexa in this scene because she's super supportive of her friend, even though Alexa did her totally dirty a few episodes ago and was like dating BLT. Now she's like, he's all yours. He likes you. Go to the dance. You guys are great. Like,
she's like genuinely, like enthusiastic for her.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Well, and that's, I think that's also what makes this whole situation really sad is like what's actually happening among these friends and like Michelle and BLT is really cute. We get some really great friendship moments, some dating moments. Michelle and BLT have like great chemistry. Like what sucks about what's happening is it takes away from what is like so pure and sweet and like cute about like what's going on.
They start talking about whether or not BLT's in trouble, and Michelle points out that it's the other guy who made the racist comment. Like, we're seeing the groundwork being laid that Michelle, she sees the injustice in this.
Right. She was like, he shouldn't even be in trouble at all.
I appreciated that. Like, I appreciated that it wasn't like, this week, Michelle learns about race. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she's already...
She was like, this is wrong as it was happening. I think it was probably really shocking for her, too, for both of them. Mm-hmm. And Alexa also says when she's trying to convince Michelle that BLT likes her, that he volunteered to work on the yearbook committee. And he's never done that before. So she's like, it was obviously just to hang out with you. And that's kind of their excuse for like hanging out later.
It's a good excuse. Extracurriculars are a great way to get a date.
And they're actually doing work, unlike, someone like a Joey Jeremiah.
Yes, they're actually doing the thing they're supposed to do, and they're doing it well because they work well together. And you're right, they have great chemistry. Honestly, I'll probably say this multiple times because there's a few different moments, but I do think Michelle and BLT are two of the strongest actors on the show.
Yeah.
And they seem so natural with each other, and they don't, especially Michelle just doesn't seem like she's acting.
Yes.
She's great.
Yeah, totally. So first we have this like yearbook photo situation. So this is sort of like spread throughout the episode, but I thought we could just kind of talk about all of them at once.
Great.
So Scooter and Bartholomew are taking yearbook photos, and everyone basically just questions whether they know how to use a camera. It's like every scene.
I really like that they're taking different yearbook pictures. Like, I like that they're like...
Yes.
Not just these posed usual school portraits.
And so Scooter says they want pictures of people doing something typical. So I've included these in the notes if we all want to take a look. So we have LD with her soccer ball, trophy, medal, and cleats. Literally so many accessories in this photo.
She's an overachieving queen.
Yes, she just brought everything.
And, I mean, she is a jock, so...
It's true, yes. It just makes me think of Jason Cox, but who knows what he would have posed with. had
he would have muscled LD out of the frame to stand in front of her with a bronze medal.
Yeah, yes, with an inferior medal.
Or like a participation trophy.
All right, then we have Kathleen and Melanie who pose together with books and no braces.
Loved it.
Yeah.
I related.
Kathleen is just like scowling. Melanie is like so pumped, and she's like, can you see that I don't have braces? How should I stand? Should I stand like this? Melanie's like adorable. I loved her in this.
I love it. And I like that these two are back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem to be getting along.
Yeah.
Kathleen didn't make any mean comments. I'm into
No.
this.
She just made mean faces. Which,
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure,
Some of
that's
us
fine.
just have a mean face. It's okay.
Then we have Joey in his handmade Zit Rebedy sweater and fedora holding his skateboard.
He looks cool as hell.
Honestly, this is like the best. This is like the coolest and best pick of the bunch.
Yes.
I'm gonna say.
They nailed it.
Yeah, he looks great. Arthur and Yick with their science fair robot and award ribbon.
Loved it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't like a weird prank. I'm glad they were posing with something,
Yeah.
that they'd
They're just being
done.
normal. And then we have Scooter and Bartholomew with their comic books.
That was my favorite one because that's their
Okay.
like friendship meet cute. Was them with their comic book,
yeah.
and that's how they became pals. So I was like,
Okay.
oh,
That's a cute one.
I am a sucker for a friendship origin story.
One other thing I wanted to note is that the yearbook photos are also black and white.
Oh, got
Much
it.
like the
Sorry.
name of this
You made-
episode.
You made the face, and I was like, what's the pun? I got it. I'm here.
So Snake and Wheels see BLT before class, and they ask him about the fight. He tells them he got a warning, and next time he'll get suspended. But if he sees that kid again, he's going to plow him to the ground.
Hell yeah, he is.
Fair
Yup.
enough.
And then
Correct.
Snake gives us some bullshit like turn the other cheek line, which is just
Yeah,
like
wouldn't it
peak
be better to just forget about it?
white liberal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BLT is basically like, yeah, that's easy for you to say. Like, you've never had to be in this situation.
Yep.
Wheels is appropriately silent.
Yes.
Like,
Thank
you
you,
can
Wheels.
ask what happened and you can take it in. Like,
Mhm.
you really don't need to try to tell someone else how to feel about it.
You don't have to solve the problem. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just have to
Yeah.
listen to someone be upset about something.
Yes. Then Michelle returns BLT's books to him and asks about what happened. He tells her he got a lecture and it was no big deal, and then gets back to asking her to the dance, and she says yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
These two are the cutest. You can just like
Yes.
see her joy. Like you can feel her joy in this.
Yes. And I love that, like, this was the thing he wanted to do, and he got interrupted, and then as soon as he could, he just went right back to it. He was just like, I will not be deterred from asking this cute girl to go to the graduation dance.
I love
Hell
it.
yeah, brother. And Alexa is just like beaming in the background.
Yes,
which
we
really
catch
helps the
Michelle
whole
sort
thing.
of like indicating to her to like let her know they're going to the dance, and she's like so pumped.
I love that Alexa is rooting for them as hard as I am. I love this scene.
Yeah, you're like shy friend. Yeah, of course you're like, yes, get out there. So then we have Spike and Liz, who are talking about childcare, and Spike says she can't afford it because Shane can't give her any. I'm sorry, I totally botched it because I was already like, I couldn't get to the end. Okay, she can't afford it because Shane can't give her money anymore because the man is in a coma.
In a coma.
And she's just like, you can't give me money anymore.
That's all she says about it.
Dude.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I was talking about the scene where Snake and Wheels are walking into the school talking about Shane being in a coma, and we see, like, right next to them, as they're talking about all this, Liz and Spike sitting there, and we get nothing from that. We get, like, no reaction.
Yes.
We get nothing. I think this is why. Maybe Spike just doesn't seem to care.
Yes, girl. Give us nothing.
She was mad about him even going to the concert because she wanted to go. And then this man dropped acid and fell or jumped off a bridge.
And now he can't give her money anymore.
And now he can't give her money.
Now he can't give her money.
Oh, it's
Oh,
so
man.
cold.
I love it.
Ice cold.
Liz suggests getting a part-time job. She saw a sign that Mr. Franks is looking for a busboy, and
Bus
maybe Spike could be
person.
that bus person to help pay for daycare.
Yeah, I love that Spike is immediately just like, bus boy.
Oh, the brand of feminism in the late 80s, which could only be cured with like Bikini Kill records.
And Spike gets all cute and like cleans up the table, imagining her future as a bus person.
Oh man, dream big, Spike.
Isn't the gender neutral term busser, by the way?
No idea.
I also
think
don't
it's-
know.
I think
I
it's
still
just
think busboy
busser.
is unfortunately common, but yeah, busser makes more sense. I mean, I will tell you that spell check did not want me to write bus person, but it did allow me to write busboy.
I would like to know why bus is the word.
You're like a little bus going around the restaurant.
Is that it?
No, I
Okay.
don't know.
Thank you.
All of this comes from, I'm just making a quick note for us to revisit later, but all of this comes from Liz overhearing an announcement from Mr. Lawrence, who's talking about careers in childcare. That will not be the first time that I think we have a poignant moment from Mr. Lawrence over the loudspeaker.
It's like they're sending them like messages into their brain, and it's like working.
That's basically what all of education is, Mary.
Well, we're seeing it in an effective way here. We're gonna go to some other lunch scenes, but I like all of the kind of friendships that we're seeing develop over lunch in this episode.
I love these scenes where, you know, we've talked about this earlier in the season where we're walking down the hall and we kind of daisy chain to different conversations. Almost like a West Wing walk and talk sort of situation. And I love that in this scene we're going from lunch table to lunch table. And then later in the library we get like different conversations happening at different tables. I just feel like it's very organic, it's very real. The conversations feel really natural to me.
They're killing it.
The girls are doing lunch. So Alexa, Michelle, LD, and Lucy. And Alexa cannot stop talking about Michelle and BLT. And even LD wouldn't mind going to the dance with him.
I noted that down.
Who wouldn't?
I mean,
Yeah,
he's like
right?
so over with these girls. They're all just like talking about how great he is. But then Alexa tells everyone that he must be a good dancer because he's black. LD and Lucy explain why stereotypes like that are racist, and Alexa sort of apologizes but also says it was just a comment.
Yeah, LD's immediately just like, that's racist.
Yes.
Like, yes, thank you, ally.
Yes. And then they're trying, and Lucy is kind of saying like his good qualities are because he has talent and he works hard. They have nothing to do with his race. So this is like how you call out a friend, right? Like Alexa says something wrong and they care enough about her to be like, you're wrong and like this is why.
Yeah, they deal with it pretty politely. Like no one is like, I don't feel like anyone is like too upset over what she said. It was like an ignorant comment, but she like obviously wasn't intending harm, and so they like dealt with it in that way, and like it felt fair.
I mean,
Yeah,
think
it's like-
back to high school, right? Like I remember people saying stuff exactly like this. I remember, you know, one of my friends who was black, she tried out for choir, and I remember everybody being like, "Oh, of course you're going to get it because black people are good at singing." And she was fucking tone deaf. but you know, she was like, no, that's not like that's not a thing.
Right.
Yeah, you're like erasing someone as an individual.
Yeah, I remember these conversations coming up when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I'm sure they still do.
Yes,
But yeah,
I'm
this is a
sure.
really good example of calling in. There's not a huge fallout. Like they're just kind of like, here's the explanation for why this wasn't like a good thing. Alexa still has that like, you know, white girl boss vibe of like, it was just a joke. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right.
But you can hope that it's not a comment she's going to make again.
We even get a little bit of like context for her where she's just talking about how her parents are like, it seems like they're recent immigrants, or like they basically just have their heads stuck in the old country. And so I'm sure there's a lot of bigotry at home that's like extremely casual because of that like context. And so we get, I think we get enough from everybody in this scene that like it works.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of very quick pivot is done a couple times in this episode where it's like, okay, so racism is what's really happening. But also, she's immediately like, but my parents don't even like that I'm dating Simon because he's not Greek.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, we see that later with Michelle's parents where it's like, actually, it's not racism. It's we don't like you dating boys.
From different cultures. It's like them using some kind of identifier to basically to discriminate, but to act like it's, for some other reason. And Michelle asks them, like, how could you go out with someone when your parents don't approve? And they all just straight up laugh at her and then, like, dunk on her for being the perfect daughter.
Oh, sweet summer child.
I mean, honestly, very relatable here for me, too. I like in high school or middle school, I was very much like, how do you get in trouble?
Yeah, they're like, do you even get in trouble? And she's like, sometimes I don't clean my room.
Yeah, unlike, Lucy, who shoplifts and hosts Ragers. LD, who doesn't clean the kitchen, doesn't even visit her dad in the hospital when he has like a heart attack. Alexa, who's bringing shame to her ancestors by dating Simon. Like, there's just this whole list of everyone at the table, and then Michelle's like, sometimes I don't clean my room. And they're just like, oh.
Been there.
But yeah, it's the shift with your parents, right? Where you start to get to an age where you see them differently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, that's earlier than others.
Yes. So Michelle and BLT are having the time of their lives working on the yearbook collage at Michelle's house when the clock strikes and BLT gets up to leave right as Michelle's parents come home with groceries. She introduces them to Bryant, and her mom shakes his hand, but her dad acts like he can't because he's holding grocery bags.
I got these sacks.
Yeah.
It's literally a comedian's bit where you just walk around everywhere carrying sacks, and then if anybody asks you to do anything, you say, "Sorry, I got these sacks."
Yeah.
Their faces immediately drop when she introduces BLT to them. It's very obvious to BLT.
Yes, he immediately sees what's happening, and Michelle is totally clueless to it at this point. But even though he gets this cold reception, he still says, "It was nice meeting you, ma'am, sir." He's still being the solid person that he is, despite how they're treating him.
And just to rewind a little bit, they were working so well together. We really see how well that they get along, that it's not just I feel like a lot of times on teen shows it'll be we see a lot of scenes of them at school, and then once they're hanging out together it's weird, or whatever. There's a lot of stuff like that, or workplace shows you'll see people get along at the office but then they go out to dinner and have nothing to talk about. But these two have just seamlessly segued into their after school activity, and they're yeah, let's put this picture here. Oh, that looks great. Perfect. It's done.
They're so excited about it.
We even get this scene when they finish the collage or whatever, and then there's just this period of awkward silence before the grandfather clock or whatever rings. And it's perfect. It's more of that sort of awkward chemistry that they have, where it's just awkward silence, but they're really sitting in it, and you can tell they're enjoying it and just sort of not sure how to react. But I don't know. I love that moment.
When they run out of something to say, they just sort of smile at each other.
Oh my God.
They like each other. They're a bit nervous, but they're also they're still comfortable enough around each other that that silence isn't making them more nervous.
A comfortable silence.
Right.
Yeah.
They have great chemistry. I'm totally rooting for them.
Yeah. Yes, we are all Alexa in that way. And only that way.
Well, now.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
I did relate to Alexa when she saw the boobs in the lockers, but
Yeah, true.
I haven't related to Alexa for a while, man.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be everything. It's
Alexa
okay.
always takes she always gets the heel heat.
Yeah,
it's
That's
true,
just kind
yeah.
of her role.
I mean,
Yeah.
Alexa is often being shown as the person who is just like very wrong, but we love her anyway. She's like, I would love to have bulimia.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'll dabble in racism. It's like, you know, if Alexa was in a later season, it'd be like, oh, a sprinkling of cyberbullying, no problem.
It's
like,
fun.
It's fun. I catfished my friend. like I would love to talk sometime. Maybe when we get to the end of the season, I would love to talk about like 2021 storylines for some of these characters.
What would they be doing
Oh,
currently? Yes.
Put a note in that. We got to get there.
All right. Well, okay. So after BLT leaves, Michelle finds out that her parents suck. So she asks what they thought of him, and her mom says he seemed nice and tries to change the subject, while her dad says she never mentioned his race.
Ooh.
Yeah, not his exact words, but the gist of what he said.
We're not gonna quote this guy.
No, we don't need to. Yeah, we don't need to repeat what this guy's saying. She tells them, and she's still like, she's kind of just like, I didn't think it mattered. And then she tells them that he asked her to the dance, and she said yes, but is it okay? And her dad tells her it's not, and she should have asked them first. And her mom says she's too young to go on dates with boys, but she can go with her friends.
She's in high school.
Yeah,
Like I know their classes are still at the junior high, but they're not in junior high. She's a freshman in high school.
It's not even like they're going out on a date. It's a dance. Like their friends will be there.
Yeah.
So it just, I mean, and she can kind of tell that this is like bullshit from them.
These two are total cowards. Like the dad is hiding
Yeah.
behind his grocery bag so he doesn't have to shake BLT's hand. And then mom is hiding behind these excuses about Michelle not being ready to date boys. It's just like, just cowards.
Yeah, let's be
Disgusting.
real. If it
Yeah.
had been
Yeah.
Snake, you know what I mean? And they were introduced
Mm-hmm.
to Archie Simpson, I don't think that they would have had this response. They wouldn't have been like, you're too young. They would have been like,
No.
Yeah.
enjoy with this blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy.
This is where she's sort of starting to like read between the lines because her parents
Yeah.
aren't being like straight up with her either.
Exactly,
So she's having to
yeah.
like kind of figure this out. So Spike tells Liz that she talked to her mom about the job and they had a great convo. So she called Mr. Franks to set up an interview. Liz offers to go with her and wait outside.
I love Liz
Spike's
in
mom.
this. Oh, I was going to say, I love Liz in this
Everyone,
episode.
we love everyone in this.
Liz is so supportive of her friend. I love that she's
Yes.
consistently trying to help Spike figure out how to juggle all of this different stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, just I love that she's going with her because I would be so nervous too. I mean, I'm the
Yeah.
kind of person like when I worked retail, I would specifically like pray that no one I knew would come in. So I'm a very different. I don't want to be perceived. But you know, Spike clearly is nervous, and I think it's really sweet of Liz to go with and wait for
I mean,
her.
It's
Yeah.
still scary to go on an interview. Like I'm an
Yeah.
adult. I'm a damn adult, and I don't want to go on an interview.
I'm the person conducting interviews, and I'm scared. What if they give a really bad answer? What do I do? Just have to be like, great.
So yeah, it's that like kind of nervous energy, but she's also like really excited about this, about like getting some money, being independent, having responsibility. Liz is jealous because she's not allowed to get a job until next summer. It's that like before you get into the workforce, how you might
Yeah.
be excited about it.
I was never excited, which leads me to my question for you guys. Have we talked about first jobs before?
Oh, I don't think so.
I don't think we have. What were your guys' first jobs?
I mean, I worked a lot of babysitting jobs, but that's kind of different. So my first like job that I had to interview for and then had like regular shifts on was Target.
Hey, you wore that little red polo shirt.
My first job was at Kohl's. So
Wait.
a rival to Target. I worked in the shoe department.
We could have been across the strip mall from one another.
Damn, it's true. It's true.
Mine was sweeping up hair and shampooing people at a salon. And I quit after 2 shifts because there were creepy men.
Oh.
Yeah.
There were also creepy men in the shoe department.
Oh, I bet. That is a place for creepy men.
Spike doesn't necessarily get a creepy man, but it is kind of true to like being a young woman entering the workforce. You
Yeah,
have to deal with men, and it's unfortunate.
There was a man who was completely bald who came in to get a weekly shampoo from, quote unquote, the shampoo girl. And so I had to basically shampoo this man's head. And then he just handed me $10 as a tip. And I was just like, this is weird.
Oh,
And-
no.
And then the boss, the guy who owned the salon, came up behind me and rubbed my shoulders. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go. And I just didn't go back.
That was the
Hands
correct
off the
move.
merchandise.
Yeah.
But I didn't drive in high school. So I had to find somewhere that was close to my house. And that salon was a couple blocks from my house. And so then there were no other jobs until I got to college.
Well,
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 I-
okay.
I do want to mention that Spike mentions when she's talking about this interview and her mom giving her the green light that the interview is at 4 p.m.
yes, very
Oh,
important.
yes.
According to
Important.
Spike in this moment.
An important detail for later.
A
Okay.
perfectly normal time for an interview, by the way. A nice round number.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think they get out of school 3:30 p.m. or something?
Something easy to remember,
Sure. So over in study hall, Michelle tells the girls that her parents said she can't go to the dance with BLT. Lucy thinks she should sulk. Alexa thinks she should cry. And LD tells her she can't let her parents ruin her life.
These are hot tips.
I love all these tips.
Lucy takes her own turn on the carousel of being problematic and says, what are they scared of anyway? Date rape?
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's weird. They all laugh.
Woof. Yeah, I was like,
It's weird.
Bad.
No.
Don't joke
like
about
it.
that.
No. Over at another table, Wheels and Snake are discussing math, and BLT is kind of just vibing, doing his homework.
They ask if Michelle's parents met BLT, and Michelle says, yeah, they met him. Lucy has a face I know why they're not letting you go to this dance. Lucy's got a very knowing look here.
Okay.
I just like that Snake was getting really philosophical with y equals ax plus b. Loving
It's
hating at the same time.
Yeah, it's an ongoing conversation between Wheels and Snake. They're getting ready for this math test, so they're talking about, I don't know, is it algebra or something? Because there's letters.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell
Y
you.
equals ax plus b. Come on. It's
math.
classic.
It's
It's
math.
a hit.
It's fake. Doesn't exist.
Alexa asks Michelle what she's going to tell BLT, but she doesn't know. And then she has to very quickly figure it out. So after class, BLT asks Michelle what color dress she's wearing to the dance because he wants to get her a corsage
Oh.
so that they'll be the
God.
finest couple there.
God.
He notices that she's acting differently and asks her about it, and she tells him,
My parents say I can't go to the graduation dance with you. I'm really sorry.
I knew they didn't like me.
And she's just like, they're not like that. But I think
they're
she's
just overprotective.
I think she's trying to convince herself here, not him.
Yeah, which I think kind of bites her in the ass because BLT is just sort of yeah, okay, dumbass.
Yeah.
She's making excuses for them.
Yeah.
And when she says no, they're overprotective, they think I'm too young, he's like, well, a lot of people our age are dating. And
Yep.
it's a dance with like other kids. And then he's like, did they just not like me? And then she's like, no, my mom did. And then, yeah, he's like, is it because I'm black? And I feel like she must have considered that to some extent, but maybe she's not quite there at like verbalizing it. Because you're right, like Lucy's face, but no one, like he just comes out and says it, but no one up until this point has come out and just said it.
She's like, my dad was just holding groceries.
Totally normal.
That's what they call being racist in her house. Like, oh, is he, holding groceries?
So then Michelle and BLT are sitting across from each other in Mr. Garcia's class and keep looking at each other while taking their test.
Okay, so I would just like to say that during this heartbreaking moment, Lucy and BLT are in my double look of the week.
Ooh.
Yes, folks, that is correct. I chose them both because you simply cannot appreciate one without the other. They are both in these like beautiful yellow outfits, and I just think that they are like shining bright while they take their math test.
Wow.
Yeah, they look great.
I thought they looked
do
so
look
cool next to
great.
each other. BLT's got this kind of like pale, I would say duckling yellow sweatshirt, and he's got like a cream turtleneck underneath. And then Lucy's got this like kind of mustardy sort of maybe sweater, and then she's got like a big old yellow like bow in her hair. I think it's in her hair.
Yes.
And they are concentrating super hard, and I think they're probably doing great on this test, and they're looking great while they're doing it.
BLT
Oh, yeah.
really loves a turtleneck, and Lucy really loves a hair accessory. So they're both killing it here.
I love it.
Incredible stuff.
And Mr. Garcia like totally clocks BLT staring at Michelle. They're clearly not cheating because they're sitting across the room from each other, but he just kind of like notices.
Hey man,
him
it's their
noticing
favorite
her.
pastime. It's like their main thing that they like to do.
Stare at each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exchanging glances and then looking away.
Yeah.
It's
One
special.
One other note at the end of the scene, Michelle erases something because she made a mistake. That's right. I think she knows she fucked up.
We all make mistakes.
It's true.
She's going to learn to right that wrong.
Yes, she will learn very soon.
No more holding groceries with me around.
All right, so Spike goes to her first job interview, and it's terrible.
She's got that Prince/Love Burger outfit on again with the ruffly sleeves.
She wore her like fanciest top for this interview at like, what is this, like a pizza place?
This is totally
Hot
something I would
dogs.
do.
Hot dogs. Right. Mr. Frank's. I feel like they have pizza too, but
As she's walking into this hot dog establishment, we get some of the best like ambient conversation that I think we've ever gotten on this show. It's just a bunch of men talking sports. Really hard to mess that up, but yeah, they're talking about stats, they're talking about, I don't know, first downs, they're talking about 3-point jump shots, I don't know.
just kind of setting the atmosphere there.
This man spot.
Yes, and so she's being interviewed by Don, who is an absolute jerk and keeps roasting her to some loser customer and making fun of her hair.
How do you make it like that? Stick your finger in the light socket each morning?
And then he lies and says she was late to the interview, so he's not going to hire her.
Boo. I kind of love Don. I don't know what it is. Don's got some charm.
Don, yeah.
I hate Don.
Totally fair.
I hate Don. As a person who had bad hair in high school and got roasted by adults all the time, I hate Don.
I feel like I've heard some of these maybe at
Yeah,
some
this
point in my life.
really like picked a scab for me, man. I did not like it.
I kind of like that those like middle-aged like guy or middle-aged gal comments to someone in their teen, like they really never go out of style.
Timeless.
Thank you. Timeless. Yes.
To be fair, we never know what the youths are doing. You know what I mean? Like
It always seems confusing.
I saw some teens gathered earlier today and I was like, oh, is that a TikTok thing? And my partner was like, I think they're just hanging out. I was like, they're doing something. I think they're doing something.
Wow, you're officially in the echelon of someone who is always suspicious of a group of teens.
What are those teens up to over
Dude,
there?
they
Some
know.
kind of TikTok?
They know what my insecurities are. They know that like half my eyebrows are filled in because I lost them in tragic 90s plucking incidents. Like,
Oh, I hate to walk past a group of teens. The fear is real.
they can cut you so deep with just a look or like just a comment. You're like walking past, you've got some groceries. They're like, oh, what's up, groceries? And you're just like, oh.
Well, I mean, you better be careful if you're carrying groceries.
Oh, I only carry
You don't wanna
groceries in
send the
one
wrong
hand.
message.
Perfect.
Yeah,
You
man.
keep one hand free.
I put them in my backpack. We go for maybe a tote. No, I've got
Absolutely.
one hand
Correct.
free for handshakes.
Perfect.
Spike does, like, she kind of, like, stands up to him a little bit. She's like, I'm here about the job, not my hair.
Hell
I
yeah.
was like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
Spike.
This girl has given birth, okay? Like
Seriously.
she's been through worse shit than
She's-
whatever Don's doing.
But she.
Don probably lives in the back of the hot dog place.
Oh yeah, like it really is like, Don, who are you to make fun of anyone? Also, way to not even have any hair, bro.
Oh man, touched
So-
a nerve, did she?
So Spike is upset when she gets outside. She knows he's gaslighting her about the time because she wrote it down and she even told her mom.
What a pig. I'm gonna come back here tonight and throw a rock through his window.
No, don't.
Cool.
Yes,
This is
correct.
a great friend.
We love a supportive friend.
You know, punks really do just love to like damage property, and I love that for them.
Right? Don't we all?
I mean, if we're gonna talk about revenge, like, yeah, of course you can't go back the next night. You gotta wait at least a week, maybe two. Like, you can't.
You put some thought into this crime,
Yeah,
Liz.
you gotta
this crime
kinda-
wave of
yeah.
justice.
You need like a 30-day waiting period so that they forget that Spike was ever there.
Exactly.
Yes.
Again, we're here at I'm Sorry, okay, to help you with lying, getting revenge.
Yes.
Stealing.
These are just stealing.
Yeah.
This
Yes.
is just some of the
Yes.
things that we're here to help you with.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever vandalized. I don't think I have.
I knew a punk who slashed some tires.
Oh, I slashed tires. Is that vandalism?
Yeah, it's
Yes,
property damage.
Yes, it's
Oh,
vandalism.
okay. All right. Well, my
If
boyfriend
they
was
knew
cheating
which
on
car
me.
was his, that would be an option.
My boyfriend was cheating on me, so I slashed his tires while he was at work.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
fuck
that's
any
fair.
Car.
It's kind of like goes back to the like, is it okay to punch a Nazi kind of debate that was happening in like 2016. You know what I mean? There's some things like, all right.
Eternally, really.
Yeah, like you can put a rock through Don's window, but Spike is very cool here. She's like, no.
She's correct. Yeah,
Don't-
she's like,
don't be doing that
Can't
shit.
come back tonight.
Yeah, don't be doing that
and
shit.
Spike's not trying to get in trouble. She's actually a
Yeah.
very responsible person.
Right? She's like, I don't really need revenge. I just need a fucking job.
Yeah, and she's like, there's got to be other jobs. Everyone can't be a pig, which not necessarily, but yes, there are definitely other jobs.
Can I just say though, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't she work at her mom's salon? Isn't she's sweeping up that hair? Like, is she not getting paid for that? Because that sucks.
Yeah,
She's maybe not getting paid. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, well, I don't think
that's
she's
just helping out mom.
No. We're not here for free labor.
No, agree. But she did say earlier her mom does help her out as much as she can with daycare, but they're not rich, so it's not much. So I don't think her mom's like hoarding a lot of money. I think
No.
there's not a lot to go around. But also, yes, no free labor. So Michelle confronts her mom about why she's really not allowed to go to the dance with Bryant. Her mom says some bullshit about how they believe in equal opportunity to date their daughter, but unfortunately, not everyone is like them. So she tries to shift the blame for their racism onto other people's racism.
Sure.
We don't care that he's black or green or purple.
The biggest red flag.
Absolutely.
The classic neolib line.
Neoliberal fascists are destroying the left.
Let me adjust my monocle really quickly.
I don't care if he's yellow or polka dot. And you're just like, okay, dude.
I was surprised that people have been trotting that out for so long.
Yeah, how?
Like, because you still hear things like that. And I was like, wow, they have really always used this as like just the worst example of like, right, but people aren't, that's not what people are like.
It sucks that they're like they're using it, but it is perfect for this scene. The look on the mom's face when she delivers this line, she's trying to be like goofy and jokey and like, this is a serious conversation. It's not like, what are you doing?
When her mom says this, I feel like Michelle, she like almost starts to smile, but it's almost kind of a wince. Like,
Yes.
I think it's like kind of hitting her, and she's sort of like, ooh, that doesn't feel good. I don't really, but like, yeah, you're right. Her mom is joking with her. And so she's like in real time kind of trying to figure out how to like react to this, which again is not straightforward.
You know, her mom then just like, if they get married and have kids, which is like absolutely wild to be talking to a freshman in high school about. And also it's like, it's interesting here that that's what you seem to be concerned about. Like, you seem concerned about bloodlines. And then, you know, she's also talking about like, he's from a different culture. And Michelle's just like, he's from here. Like,
Yeah,
he
she
was
was
born
like,
here.
he grew up here. What does that even mean?
Also, just totally deviating from the original game plan, the original fucking lie that she's too young to be dating. So
Yep.
it's also just like, okay, so what's the excuse gonna be next time?
Listen, if you're going to be a piece of shit, right, you've got to toe the company line. Right? Like,
yeah,
you can't change the script every time there's a question. You got to stick to the original talking points.
Yes. Again, we're just here to help everyone lie. We want, we're equal opportunity in helping people lie. If that's what you want to do, don't be holding any grocery bags while you're doing it, though.
No, never lie while holding groceries. All that energy goes right into your food.
I want to back up real quick. I love the scene that we get of Michelle. It's sort of a gloomy day. Michelle is staring at her house, sort of like she knows that she's about to like confront this situation. And like we've been saying, like it feels like the gears are turning. Like before this conversation happens, she's maybe still wanting to give her parents the benefit of the doubt, but she's sort of kind of realizing that might not really be working out anymore. And with all of that, I have to say, she's in my look of the week.
Oh!
Hey!
This is also my look of the week. But Paul, please go ahead and tell us about this amazing look.
I just love this gloomy day outfit. I love a good raincoat. She's got this like nice green raincoat with a blue turtleneck sweater. The white shoes and cuffed jeans are killing me.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a perfect outfit to confront your parents' bigotry in the rain.
I love it. And she's got this kind of like feathery shag a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is
she
very
does have great
now.
hair. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh, love an oversized turtleneck.
But yeah, inside, her mom, we get served just like one more standard line from fucking Ava Braun over here, which is, you'll understand when you're older. And then she scuttles away to show real estate.
Conversation death ray. It's just like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
And I think Michelle is like, I don't want to understand that kind of thinking when I'm older, actually. I'm good never understanding that kind of thinking.
Also relatable.
I understand that you're terrible.
Yes,
And I
now
understand that now.
understand how terrible you are.
And then as she leaves, her mom like kind of just does a quick pause and is just like, you need to trust us. Like we want to do what's best for you. And it's like, okay, babe.
Boo.
Boo.
Michelle finds BLT before class the next day and tells him that he was right about why her parents wouldn't let her go to the dance with him. But she thinks they're wrong and she doesn't care what they say. Then she asks him if he wants to go to the dance with her, and we end on the cutest freeze frame of the two of them together.
Easily the cutest freeze frame in Degrassi history. There's no way.
They're killing it.
Oh my god. This scene begins with Michelle sort of like staring at BLT through sort of like a glass door window. And as mentioned earlier, we get yet another Mr. Lawrence announcement, a thought of the day announcement that I think fits really well with the last scene and this scene that's about to play out.
This is your principal, Mr. Lawrence speaking. Our thought for the day is the courage of conviction. Remember, no one should fear the truth because the truth fears no one.
Yeah. So if
That's
the
real.
truth is that your parents suck, don't be afraid.
Exactly.
Well, all right. I don't know. So that's
That's it,
a wrap on that.
Yeah. We've said what we had to say, I think.
So does anyone need to address their enemies today?
I'd like to address the multiple people failing Spike right now. So it's a bit of a background issue, I think, but Shane's parents aren't financially contributing. And it appears that Spike is not in receipt of like any government money. Like, why is her mom not advising her on like programs that help people raise children under 18? Like, I just think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity for Degrassi to not show young Canadians some of the rights and the programs and like the money that's afforded to them through their government. I know that there are vouchers you can get for daycares and stuff. There's government assistance for this stuff. She says their family's not rich. Like, her mom's a single mom. She's a teen mom. I feel like I'm very angry that Spike's mom is not helping her navigate any of these things that would greatly alleviate the situation. I'm angry that Shane's parents aren't taking any responsibility at all. And I'm angry with the writers of Degrassi for not showing people what their government is there for, which is to be a social safety net.
Yeah, or even showing them the struggles of accessing those benefits.
Right?
Right? Either way, like just showing that there are benefits available. Yeah, because Spike shouldn't have to get a job on top of being a parent in high school.
15. Yeah, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would take a bottle episode that's just Spike sitting, filling out the form. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
In real time.
Joey would walk in and like spill something on the form.
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely. And it would be like a milkshake. It wouldn't be water.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
What are you filling it out in the cafeteria for?
Wow, I can see it now.
Right? I'm going to start writing fan fiction.
I need to address Principal Lawrence, who didn't seem to care at all that a student in his school was called a racial slur. Racism is violence, and BLT had every right to defend himself, and treating his actions the same as the student who singled him out and verbally assaulted him is wrong, and sends a message to all students that racism is tolerated at the school, but defending yourself against it is not.
A great address.
Thank you.
Can't relate.
I related to Michelle here. I grew up with parents that I got along with also and never really did anything to get into trouble. But at some point, I started catching my mom busting out subtle liberal homophobic bullshit. And I think, like Michelle, it took me a little longer than it should have to put together like all of that. But it ended up being really important for me to have those confrontations. And I hope Michelle can find a similar path for herself.
This week I related to Wheels. because no amount of explanation will make math make sense to me because it's all fucking fake.
I just related to Melanie having her photo taken.
Wow.
You just want your teeth
What
from
if
the
I
best
stand
angle?
like this? Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
look?
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that tracks.
It totally tracks.
Right? So, friends, what did we learn today?
I think it was hard for me to come away from this episode with the intended message. It's hard to accept media that will use possibly the worst racial slur to demean a black person, but then has seemingly no black oversight or story input. I love Degrassi and the overall message and vision this show presents, but this episode didn't really hit for me. The majority of what we saw this week was perfectly well-written television that highlighted racism and prejudice, and not only how those things are different, but also how they impact their victims. But I wish the non-black writer and director of this episode had either made a different choice with the language in the first scene of this episode, or I wish we, the audience, had more clarity on how or why that word was chosen. Without that knowledge, I think it was hard for me to walk away from this episode with the intended message intact.
Today, I think, we learned that there comes a time in everyone's life when they realize that their parents are simply fallible people. And it's up to us to make decisions about whether or not we want to align ourselves with their beliefs and values. We also learned that middle-of-the-road neoliberal ideology is no different to the more outspoken and flagrantly racist right that liberals claim to be in opposition to. Both are deeply rooted in white supremacy, and no matter how many cute phrases, like black or green or purple, you trot out, there is no dressing up fascism.
Today, I learned that the institutions around us and the people in positions of power can and will often be disappointing and harmful, collectively and to people on an individual basis, but you can always make a choice to be different. Michelle knew that her parents' reaction to meeting BLT did not make sense, and she had to decide whether to go along with them or to trust her instincts that he's a good person, and that their efforts to keep them apart were not to protect her, but to protect their own white fragility. It's unfortunate that her experience is the one being centered in this episode, but for someone who started off in this series by being too shy to give a speech, it is good to see her grow into someone who can think and act independently.
You can listen to I'm Sorry Okay, a Degrassi podcast on Acast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoy what we're doing here at I'm Sorry Okay, be sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
And thanks for listening. You can follow us on social media at I'm Sorry Okay Pod, OK is spelled OKAY, and email us at I'mSorryOKPod@gmail. That's it for Black and White. Next week we'll be watching Partey.